your aggressive not playing with the Hoff then at Blackjack in Vegas. Hello and welcome to GG Weekend Watch, kindly sponsored by BetMGM, who are sponsoring a plethora of races this weekend at Ascot. So we're going to get onto those in due course. We have 8 televised races on ITV then this weekend to go out from Newmarket, Ascot, as well as a Brucey bonus from Redcar as well. I'm Kate Tracey, being joined by Andrew Mount and Dave Young as per usual. Now, in terms of last week, of course, we were playing havoc yet again with the weather. I feel like I say this every single week, but we didn't have any joy then at Haydock last weekend. But of course, the lads, they were in perfect sync at the Cara. Jesse Harrington's Hot as Hell won comfortably in the end with an SP of 2-1. Over at Newmarket, Andrew gave us a 16-1 third. Royal Equerry in the opener for Wimbledon Hawkeye. Served it up well then in the Royal Lodge for Dave at 4-1. I have to credit Dave with that one, to be fair. No joy in the 2-2-year-old Group 1s, but we did see a couple of phenomenal performances, as we know, Lake Victoria and Shadow of Light. In the Cambridgeshire, Andrew annoyingly made the case in about the low draws coming to the fore this year, and yeah, he was right.
Yes, well, I've still managed to back the 66-1 7th, each way 6 places.
Yeah, that's the only thing though.
And I also gave a good mention to, is it Waiting All Night, the one that won the race on the near side, about 100-1, finished 8th overall. So another one that got away. Oh,
the Cambridgeshire is the race that got away, like say, for 7th then at 66-1 for Look Back Smiling, then to win on the high draws as well, then for Andrew's big price play as well. But well done if you managed to get extra places for those, but gutted if you didn't. But as I say, loads to get stuck into. It is, of course, ARC weekend, so I might ask the lads later on then if they want to touch on the ARC at Longchamp, which of course is on Sunday. But we're going to focus on the Saturday racing though, beginning at Newmarket with the 130 Premier Fillies Handicap 0-105 contest, 3-year-olds and over 10 furlongs. Dave, a tricky little opener for you to get stuck into.
Yeah, it is a tricky little opener. It's good racing this Saturday, to be fair. It's taken me a lot longer to prep than it normally would do. So I think it means that confidence might be a little bit lower than other weeks, which might please some viewers. I won't be as bullish on some of the tips. But the first race that we've got, the Fillies Handicap, looks quite a nice race. We've got a few horses that have won last time out. A few of them, again, though, that have won last time out have won in like lower class races. We've got some class 4 and class 5 handicap horses coming here. Warda Jamila won last time out, but was in a class 3. I think the time before running a class 2 at Goodwood, so was fairly close to winning there. So like, I think from a class perspective, Warda Jamila of the last time out winners is pretty good. Up £4 for the last ride. Got Oisin Murphy in the saddle again. He won on handicap debut back in May. That was at Ascot, just a bit short of room and just got up. But I think the £4 rise is well within Warda Jamila's grasp. I think she should go close again. But I think I'm going to be a bit of a wuss in the opener because I want to play another one as well. I'd quite like to play Noisy Jazz, if I may. I don't know why I'm asking permission. I'm going to play Noisy Jazz.
You can play whatever music you like, Dave.
Yeah, I'll play some Noisy Jazz because like, I think just looks ripe for like a real bold showing on handicap debut. Was really weak in the market last time out. Like wasn't really short of room, but was kind of weighted with. I don't know if that was sort of disguised as, not saying they weren't trying, but like I say, the horse drifted, didn't win, wasn't really ridden hard in the finish, but sort of waited for a bit of a gap. Holly Doyle won that day, only just because Jim Crowley came flying up on the inner. But it's interesting that Holly Doyle takes the ride for Noisy Jazz. If you want anything else to boost the confidence on that one, obviously James Owen's in really good form at the moment if you're that way inclined. So I think it's notable that Noisy Jazz has got Holly Doyle up top. You can get 6-1 top price Warda Jamila, 10-1 top price on Noisy Jazz. So if you were to sort of conveniently split your stakes into percentages across them, you can get about 100 to 30, I reckon. So it'll probably pay 3-1 for one of those two to win. So it's competitive racing Saturday. I'm taking 2 for me on the first race.
You are allowed to. It's also an each way plus race at BetMGM with 4 places on offer here as well. Andrew, no matter how long I've known you, there's always something that entertains me or always something that catches my eye on this show. I mean, not only before we started recording were you telling us about your aggressive not playing with the Hoff then at Blackjack in Vegas, but are you drinking Diet Coke out of a stein?
Yeah, I am. It was a 2/3 pint glass. It's just that it wasn't cold. It wasn't cold, so I've got a big lump of ice in there. You see, to pour it into the glass. So it's,
honestly, the things that I have going on this show that just catch my attention out of the side of my eye on the screen, and it's generally Andrew that's always up to something. But what wins
I can't drink warm Diet Coke. If your skin doesn't peel off as you take it away from the can, then it's not cold enough. So
it's not cold enough, and you should always play the Hoff at blackjack if you get the opportunity. There are 2 life lessons that we've learned today, but
exactly.
the lesson I really want though is who wins this 105 0 to 105 Premier Fillies handicap.
Yeah, this is super tricky. I was looking at Maggie's Way, thinking the ground would be soft. A daughter of Cityscape, Osiris, a good influence for runners on soft or heavy going. 2 runs on ground described as soft have produced a win and a second. Coming out of stall 1, which could be helpful given the stalls are on the far side. At last week's Cambridgeshire meeting, the stalls were in the middle for all 3 days. They came near side on day 1, and then by the time of the Cambridgeshire, as you talked about earlier on, it was a big advantage to go far side. So we've got to keep an eye on any sort of draw bias. But this one has been off the track for a while, and it's soft, good to soft in places. And although it says scattered showers on the day on the Racing Post, the forecast I've looked at suggests there's absolutely 0 rain between now and post time. So that soft, good to soft in places could well be good all over, particularly with a bit of a wind. On the subject of the wind, there is a headwind forecast, not particularly strong, but it's going to get stronger about 10 o'clock on Saturday night. If that weather front sort of moves forward, then it could be tough for front runners. Another interesting angle with this race, we've had 8 runnings of this race. 4 of the winners won on their latest start. You backed all 22 qualifiers, you made a profit of £11.50, and the top 2 in the weights produced 4 of the 8 winners. You back all those, you'd have made a profit of £19.50. So I'm going to swerve on Maggie's Way and the expectation the ground dries out. I'm just going to jump to Karmology for Carl Burke. We've seen how well his yards been going of late, in fact all year pretty much, and I would forgive that beaten favourite effort in the listed race at Yarmouth last time. Because she was stuck out wide and was sort of slowly away, never got into the race. She normally races prominently. She's got form on sort of good to soft, even got form on heavy. It's won on, I think, on good to firm. So I wouldn't really worry about what the ground is for Karmology. Store 2 could be advantageous, and hopefully she'll be ridden forward and there's no headwind.
And hopefully no headwind as well. She's 12 to 1 with that MGM as well, which is a much better price than most that I am seeing at the time of recording as well. And that each way plus race Karmology for Andrew. Right, we're going to switch to Ascot now for the 150. The Bet MGM Roost Stakes listed contest, 3-year-olds and over 5 furlongs. So sprinters to the 4. Again, we haven't got a big field to go at in this one, Andrew, but Relief Rally, she's back for more.
Yeah, interesting one. This when she was beaten over 7 earlier in the season, I thought, well, she's got to come back in trip, hopefully to 5, and then took her on next time she got beaten over 6. Last time out, she dropped to 5 and still got beaten. So I just wonder if she's not the same horse at 3 as she was at 2. And looking at the sort of previous runnings of this race, you go back to 10 years in the Ralph Stakes, 9 runnings at Ascot, 1 at Nottingham. Fillies are just 1 winner from 26 runners, which is not particularly encouraging for backers of a Relief Rally, and also second favourite Beautiful Diamond, Carl Burke's runner. So in fact 3 of the 6 are fillies. So if you want to go with that angle, it might be worth just sort of firing a couple of arrows at some of the bigger priced geldings in the race. Aside from that worry about the record of fillies, Mia Harris was quite interesting, assuming the ground is going to remain on the soft side. Owen Burrows, strange old yard, has only had 105 runners this year. I thought that must be well down on previous years, but I sort of look back and it's quite common for him to have that sort of number of runners. You would make money backing all his horses blind, I think, since 2018, particularly in the higher grade of races. And this one's been running over 6 and 7 in her last 3 starts. But coming back to the 5 furlongs in a small field, you look through her form and there's so many incidences of waiting for run, met trouble, hampered, etc. So a small field, 5 furlongs, cutting the ground is ideal for Mia Harris. I could be tempted by her at 12 to 1, but I might just play the boy horses angle and go with the geldings and just maybe do Democracy Dilemma over Go Athletico in a forecast at both around 6 to 1 and hope that comes to fruition.
the boy horses. I did have to laugh about that. It is very much the boys versus the girls in this race, though, isn't it? Where, as you say, you've got 3 fillies in here, and then you've got the 3 geldings as well, who are generally the bigger prices. Mia Harris, though, about 12, 10 to 1, though. Mia Harris is the biggest price filly of them in here, Dave. Boy or girl? Who do you like?
Well, you know that I've got my trust issues with the ladies, but I do think
Yeah,
I
you
am
do.
going to start to trust, probably for my sins, Relief Rally again. The run last time out, it was obviously the race where I suggested that I thought the 3-year-olds would probably go quite well. They did come in the first 2. The winner for Ryan Moore going to go to running the Abbey, isn't it, this weekend, and just looked potentially like it was, you know, they missed out in France the week before. Quick turnaround, won nicely, but Relief Rally was typically slow away. I was sort of rousted as well. I just basically just couldn't believe that Relief Rally actually finished as close as she did in the end. So I'm quite happy to sort of upgrade the performance off of what I expected her to do. I know she was 7-2 in the end, but the money came for other horses, didn't it? She's entitled to have needed that run as well. She had 126 days off beforehand. And as much as we look at her as sort of like Newbury, bit of a specialist, everywhere else that she's run, she's won, hasn't she? She's won at Windsor first time up, Salisbury, Ascot she didn't win, okay, so that's fair enough, but was a no second to Crimson Advocate in the Group 2 filly. So I think that the form of like any course for her is fine. I think she's just a good, solid little horse. And I know Andrew suggested that potentially she's not as good this season as she was last year, which could definitely be true. I don't think she really needs to be much better than what she did last time to win this race, though. So I know she's favourite. I think she's probably got plenty in hand here. Now, Kieran Fallon's taken the ride. He's got a good few mounts this weekend for William Haggis. That doesn't really bother me, but you know how she's always a bit slow out the stalls. Who knows? Maybe on her debut at Windsor, she popped out nicely. Maybe under a new jockey, she might come away a little bit better. And if she does do that, she's got even more in hand as far as I'm concerned. So I do appreciate what Andrew said about the fillies record in this race, but it doesn't look the most deep renewal as far as I'm concerned. It looks competitive, definitely on paper, but I think Relief Rally will finally get her head back in front, and I'd like to see it.
Yeah, I think most people would like to see her, wouldn't they? She does feel like she's a filly who does deserve to get her head back in front and just to kind of quash those issues, well, potential issues, qualms then that people are thinking that she hasn't quite trained on as a 3-year-old, which might just be the case, but you still like to see her get a win all the same. Newmarket now, 205, £150,000. Tattersalls October auction stakes, 2-year-olds over 6 furlongs. So a nice sales race to go at for you, Dave, with these 2-year-olds. They're never easy to solve, so good luck.
Yeah, the jump's back yet. I don't know what you're supposed to do in races like this, because I've looked at, obviously we watch horsing during the season, or horse racing during the season anyway. Sometimes you get some eye catchers and things in there, and obviously I love a conspiracy theory that I create in my own mind about horses doing things for handicaps. And I know that this is a big prize like pool, and people may have held a few back for it, but it's hard to see with the ones that have had plenty of runs that they've got miles more left in them. We've had some good winners of this race in the past. There's been like a few 100-rated horses, I think, in here, but we've got lots of sort of 80s horses in here. So I can see why Brighton Boy's at the head of the market. Cheap Pieces on now, has hung, but it sounds really harsh to probably say it, but 5 runs this horse has had. If this is the best horse that was sold at that sales that's running in this race, then I think it's a pretty disappointing crop. So I'm expecting there will be something else in this race that will be able to go, like, come good. 9 of the last 10 winners as well have carried 11 stone 11 or less. This one's got 8 stone 11 or less. This one's got 8 stone 13, I think. Amici was the one that defied that, but was also sent off as favourite. The other winning favourite was also Under O'Sheen, who's riding this one, but that's a horse that was having his 6th career start as well. So whereas I poo-pooed the fact that he might be exposed, you know, there's positives you could possibly take as well. But I don't think I'll have a bet in the race, but there is one that I'm going to be watching with a very keen, beady eye, because I think if Aubergine runs pretty close in this, that'll be a horse to keep on side for back end of this season or going into next year. Mum is a half sibling to Thunderbear. We know that's got group 4 over 5 furlongs, but a couple of wins at 6 furlongs too. Her dad's Memes, who we know was an absolute weapon at 6 furlongs. She only just made her debut a couple of weeks ago over 5 furlongs, so maybe there was a setback or she was a bit slow to come out, but she really stuck her head down and sort of battled to keep going on to win that race. She didn't get a massive RPR off the back of it, but that winning attitude and potentially the fact that she's bound to step forward off of that, I'm quite keen to watch how she does. But really, off what she did, she's 11 to 1 to win the race. It's too short a price to get involved, so no bet, but I'm definitely interested in watching Aubergine.
Dave keeping his beady eye on the aubergine then. Nice to know. 12 to 1 with BetMGM as well. This is an each way plus race with BetMGM. 4 places on offer then. So not necessarily a betting race then for Dave, but he has given us a bit of a steer then of a horse to keep an eye on, Andrew.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of aubergines. I think it's the texture. But aubergine, the horse would have a good chance in this. Certainly fits the stats. Horses who won a non-handicap last time out, 6 from 32 in the 9 runnings of this race, profit of a tenner to a £1 stake. Aubergine's actually the sole qualifier. Now, draw-wise, he's in stall 13 of 20. Be interested to see, I should say, be interested to see which side of the track she comes, because it's certainly been an advantage to be drawn against either rail in recent years. Now, last year, the first 3 home came from the 2 lowest draws and the highest draw. 5 to 1, 25 to 1, and 50 to 1. A couple of years ago, you had horses in the frame at 50 to 1 from stall 2, and 4th at 22 to 1 from the highest stall. So certainly look out for those sort of rail draws on either side. So Brighton Boyd won a handicap last time out, but that's been a negative, coming from taking the handicap route. Also, where cheap pieces for the first time, no previous winner had headgear on, albeit most of them were big prices. So I was looking, as well as aubergine, I was looking at King of Angels, stall 1 of 20, which is a stablemate of aubergine, and Zoulu Warrior, who represents Heather Main and is a son of Zoustar, wears the same colours as the horse who was a disappointing favourite in this race last year. Even money shot that was. Zoulu Chief basically went off too hard and didn't enjoy the dip, basically. So yeah, do look out for say Zoulu Warrior, stall 15 at 100 to 1. If you're going to have the price of a lottery ticket each way, then that's the one I'll go for here.
That's the one then. There it is, the lottery ticket, Zoulu Warrior, 100 to 1 then. And again, as I say, that is an extra place race with BetMGM. Right, back to Ascot again for the 225. The BetMGM Cumberland Lodge Stakes Group 3 contest. 3-year odds and over a mile 4, Andrew. And Aasy is bidding for this hat trick now. Can he land it?
I think he can. Again, it's heavy at the moment at Ascot. It's probably still going to be soft enough for him. We've talked about this horse so many times on this pod over the last couple of years, saying that he's a real autumn horse. You look at his record in September and in October in particular, he does particularly well this time of year. His last 4 wins have come in October or September, all of them in small fields. He's never won on turf in a field of more than 9 runners. So, he's got a good chance of dominating. He's got his ground. He's won the race before. He's also quite interesting, I think, for Champions Day as well. He's in the British Champions Long Distance Cup. He's 50 to 1 for that. And we know that the chances of getting very deep ground on Champions Day are pretty strong. So I wouldn't put you off having a bet on this and having a bet on Saturday. Also having a bet at 50 to 1, 40 to 1, whatever he is for Champions Day as well, because I think that will be the plan.
That might well be then for Aasy going forward. He was 5th in this race last year, wasn't he? His favourite.
Karmology, you got your owls mixed up.
Oh, sorry, Karreem then. Apologies. Then Karreem then to be going on and to do that. Meows. I always get meows confused there. For Andrew, Dave, who do you like in the sausage race?
Don't you can't throw me.
Remember that from last year?
Absolute hospital pass like that. Jesus, it's like it's a nice race. This is the one that sort of like got me twisted, like looking at the form, because I kept going around in a bit of circles with it. Because like Aasy is obviously a very good horse. There seems to be a point where I think every pundit wants to try and take him on, and there's a little part of your head that thinks, I'm not really sure why I'm trying to do it, but I do like him. He does handle all types of ground, doesn't he? But it's been all good to firm this season. And I know he's been beating horses, but I don't really think he's beat much. But then potentially he's not really got much to beat in here, has he? He has bombed every now and again as well, which does worry me. And we haven't got Jim Crowley on top. We have got Daniel Tudhope taking the ride in here. Kieran Fallon's taking the ride on Hamish. So we've got William Haggis sending a couple in here. So I don't know whether he's that confident on one or the other being like the best one for it. It seems like he's throwing a couple of arrows, but I think when Hamish did win it before, Haggis had the third, I can't remember what it was called, but it was an eye catcher that stayed on. So like they'll probably both run well. They're not going to sort of inconvenience each other. 5 to 2 about him as well just makes you think, how can I not want to bet him at the price? So I think I don't want to be like like too confident a bet on him in this race. Like I think I'll have to bet him because I think it's sort of price dependent. It's going to dry up a bit. It says heavy on the Race Post website. It's not that. It's been dry and there's a dry forecast through to Saturday. But the one that I will probably play at well, it is a big price, and I think it's got a bit of a chance, to be fair, is Layfayette for Noel Mead, because the horse came back from a 302-day absence to run last time out, and I think that would have been a run to do something next time out. Not really sure what the other options could have been for the horse, but it seems like that was a prep run to come here. Has run at Ascot a couple of times before, but all the times it's run before have been on good to firm ground. They're not exactly terrible runs either. 6th of 30 in the Royal Hunt Cup, and then 5th of 7 in the Group 2 Hardwick Stakes, which, you know, like 5th of 7 doesn't sound like it's that great, but it's still a Group 2 on ground that potentially wouldn't have particularly suited. The other interesting thing with Layfayette is the last 2 years, on his second run after like a seasonal break, he's won a Group 3, I think, and then he comes second in a Group 2 last year. So this is potentially within his grasp. The race could get set up for him because there's a lot of good horses in it, Qareem, Aasy and Hamish. I just wonder if it might get a bit tactical. Layfayette can just be ridden really cold out the back and then potentially pick up the pieces. 25 to 1. We've got the dead 8 at the moment. So if the field holds up, I'll definitely be back in Layfayette each way, as well as having a win dart on Aasy.
As well as a win dart with Aasy, but yeah, Layfayette only one horse peaking opera is bigger price than in this race with the 8 runners to go at Layfayette. Good case made then for that one. Right, we're going to head back to Newmarket again now for the 240. The Group 1 Sun Chariot Stakes, 3-year-olds and over a mile. So we get our Group 1 contest to go at in this one, Dave. Tamfana currently heading the way in Spiral, of course, bidding to get back to her previous much better form, but she just doesn't quite look the mare that she once was. So again, we haven't got a big field to go at in this one as such, but Tamfana, is she a league above her rivals even now?
No, she's not. No, it's this. Well, she might be. This is a really like nice looking race, isn't it? Obviously, again, I think from the emotional perspective, Inspiral was a bit more impressive last time out, wasn't she, when she was behind Sharon under Ryan Moore? And you'd kind of like to see her back to her best because she was dominant in this race last year. But as you've touched on, she might just not be that. But if someone's going to get her back, it's going to be John and Thady Gosden, isn't it? So she's got a bit of a chance. I think there's only been one winner that's been age 5 in the last 10 that I've looked at, but most of the ones that have tried since then have been like 12 to 1 or bigger. There's been loads of 40s and 50s pokes. So age wouldn't necessarily put me off, but I am sort of looking towards the 3-year-olds, I think, in here, because there's a couple of horses that we all like on this show. And if you go back to the 1,000 guineas as well, which I think's sometimes important to look back that far in the season, you had Darnation that was 25 to 1 in the race. Elmalka was 28 to 1, obviously did go and win it. That was their second run. See the Fire was 15 to 2 that day, 12th, but first one of the season. And Tamfana that you've touched on was 33 to 1 fourth, but also having her second run. So Elmalka and Tamfana did the best of those 4 in that 1,000 guineas, but they were both having their second run. See the Fire's just progressed at a rate of knots really this season. The run after, when she ran behind, well, she was just behind Elmalka, wasn't she? But she was staying on. I think she was 50 to 1. She was rallying again at the line. So I think when I saw them run against each other then, I thought, I can't see how Elmalka would beat See the Fire. Again, next time they race against each other. They ran again after behind Opera Singer when See the Fire sort of franked the fact that she might now be better than Elmalka. But then this is back to the scene of that 1,000 guineas for Elmalka, isn't it? And she's not exactly regressed this season. She's got a good number up first time up. Yes, some other horses have improved, but she might not need to run any better than she did in that 1,000 guineas. Seems like a mad thing to say, isn't it? She won 1,000 guineas, and I'm saying she could run to that level to win this race. She easily could. So I do like See the Fire, and I think she might have gone beyond her, but I would kick myself if I didn't back Elmalka, because we bet her first time up, didn't we? And then sort of left her alone in the 1,000 guineas, and I kicked myself then. So it's going to be another race where I'm going to split my stakes. I'll bet See the Fire and I'll bet Elmalka. At the prices they are at the moment, 9 to 2 and 9 to 1, it would pay about 5 to 2 for back in the pair. So I'd rather have 5 to 2 about both of them than I would about Tamfana or Inspiral.
Yeah, rather than siding with those, go on Elmalka. Hopefully she can do the business again. Roger Varian's form, though, you just want to see him starting to have those winners again, though, don't you? But Elmalka back to the scene of her Guineas success. I absolutely love her, so I'd love to see a big run from her. Andrew, would you or not?
No, not at all. I hope she gets pinned and finishes out the first 3 because I'm going to let her win in place. I think she was flattened in the Guineas because she was drawn high. She came late, and there was a huge pace and draw bias in the 1,000 guineas. What's interesting in that race, you go back to it, Elmalka started at 28 to 1. Darnation started at 25 to 1, so it was a shorter price for that race than Elmalka. Now they're 10s and 50s for this race. Now Darnation was drawn low that day, and she was prominent, which was not how you wanted to run the race. She finished 14th. Since then, she bounced back to win the German 1000 at Dusseldorf. I bet the Hoff was there. He's big in Germany. And then finished second to Tiffany at Newcastle in Group 3 company, and then last time out back to Dusseldorf, where a mile 3 was too far for her. So coming back to a mile, and say having started at a short price than Elmalka for the 1000 guineas, I thought 50 to 1 was probably taking the mick a bit, particularly if the ground is on the soft side still. She's by too darn hot, a good influence for soft or heavy going. And Carberg's in fantastic form. I didn't like in Spiral because she's in Spiral and she's her head's gone. Plus, she's trained by the Gosdens, who are having a terrible time with things at the moment. In the last 60 days, you could have made a profit of sort of 67% laying every single Gosden runner at Betfair SP after 2% commission. They've had 12 winners from 106 runners, 11.3% strike rate. The expected number of winners based on their prices is almost double that, so 21.5 pretty much. Actual over expected score of 0.56. So they're really underperforming at the moment. I just don't see how you could touch anything from this yard. That kind of rules out in Spiral and Nashua. See the Fire is the one I put up each way against Elmalka at Royal Ascot. She just got chinned for a place. Although she won at York last time from the worst of the draw, she was switched towards that inside rail and got a dream run up the Golden Highway when Phantom Flight should really have gone across and try to sort of secure that fast strip on the inside. So maybe she was a shade flattered by that, but that's possibly being a bit harsh. Certainly off the shorter price ones, I prefer her to Spiral in Nashua. So you kind of then you basically sort of process of elimination coming down the side of Tamfana, which has got a good record in the autumn. If you stretch that, autumn is from the sort of 31st of August onwards. It's sort of 3 wins and a third, beating a neck on a racecourse debut from 4 starts in sort of September, October kind of time. So I'll go Tamfana, but I will have a few quid on Darnation at a massive price.
Either end of the betting, then Darnation is the clear outsider of the field. But Tamfana, though, as well, on what could be a big weekend for David Manoussier. Now we're going to switch back to Ascot for the 3 o'clock for Group 3 Bengough Stakes, 3-year-olds and over 6 furlongs. Now this does look pretty wide open in this one, Andrew. It's about 3 to 1 the field. Jarraaf is who currently heads away, bidding for this hat trick. Can he bring that up?
Yeah, this is sorry, where are we going?
We are going to the 3 o'clock at Ascot for Group 3 Bengough.
I'm at Redcar at the moment, so that's probably why.
Are you on the 320 at Redcar, the 2-year-old trophy?
Who is this Jarraaf you speak of? Oh,
who is this Jarraaf?
we're on the Bengough. I would say Apollo 1 is probably going to finish second because that's what he does. I mean, Corker is great fun because he's one to back. Back place only. He often blows the start and comes through and sort of does best with the closers and draws people in next time out. And he runs exactly the same race again. So I'd be sort of like trying to build trifectas with Apollo 1 to finish second and Corker to finish third. That might be the way to go. The Dream's interesting if it does remain on the soft side. She's had a funny old season, sometimes running well on ground that's deemed sort of quicker than ideal for her, and then getting the preferred mud and not running particularly well. But I didn't have a strong opinion of this. I thought A Day in Devon was probably one worth taking on, given that she's best over 5 and she sort of generally struggles in group company when she's not running against her own sex. But I didn't have a strong opinion, so I sort of take on A Day in Devon, muck around with trifectas involving Apollo 1 and Corker to finish second or third.
Yeah, they do love placing those two, don't they? Apollo 1 about 10s, Corker 12s. Take on A Day in Devon. She's the shorter price than herself, but no strong opinion then from Andrew. And what is going to be a tricky little contest, Dave?
Yeah, it is a tricky one, and I think it's good. Like, it's a good field. There's some nice names there, isn't there? The Dream took this in 2021, but it's only won a couple of times since then. I think both back in the spring of 2023. Pura Sangue, if he ever just didn't pull in a race, he'd see this trip out fine, wouldn't he? But I remember when A Day in Devon sort of coasted past Pura Sangue when Oisin Murphy was riding Pura Sangue, and I think at this sort of distance, A Day in Devon should uphold that form, but was very well backed in that race we touched on at Newbury last time, didn't she, over a day in Devon, and ran terribly is the only way you could really put it. She's like, she is good, but she's been on the go quite a lot this season, so I wonder if that's starting to catch up on her. But the fact that there was money last time does make you wonder whether, you know, a relatively quick turnaround, it's only 2 weeks after they left a bit behind, they found an issue or something, and she might perform quite well. But I think that's the case I'm sort of making with most of these horses in it, bar Wiltshire and Jarraaf. I think everything else on paper has the potential to run very well in this. As Andrew's touched on, Apollo 1 will probably be second in there, won't he? But Jarraaf last time matched the RPR of Apollo 1, a 113, and is on the upward curve. So while we've got these horses that could all run the numbers to win the race, Jarraaf did it last time out in winning as well. So Wiltshire, I think, put in a 114, a little bit better, but it was in defeat. So I'm always a little bit cautious of big numbers that are put up when you are beaten in those races. So I think Jarraaf looks a little bit weak in the market, was clear favourite when this first came out. There's money coming for English Oak back at the scene of a decent Royal Ascot win, wasn't there? But as much as he's tried group company since, I think he's been exposed enough that for whatever it is, just at the moment, he's not good enough. And he is a 4-year-old. He's a bit older than some of these in here. So I think Jarraaf does deserve to be favourite in the race. It wouldn't be like a strong, confident fancy, but anything could probably win this race. But Jarraaf's the one that's coming in here on good form and potentially on that upward curve. If he does step forward from what he did last time out, then he would be far too good in this race and he'd beat a lot of them.
Hopefully so, and for Safi Osborne as well, then taking the ride for Owen Burrows. But as you say, now he's actually 4-1 with BetMGM. He's just been deposed as favourite. English Oak, I say, is the one with the market support behind him. Right, the 320 then at Redcar. Andrew couldn't wait to get to this race. The 2-year-old trophy listed contest for the 2-year-olds over 6 furlongs. But Andrew, you're going to have to wait a bit longer because it's Dave's turn to go first.
This is mad, isn't it? This is the sort of stuff like when they teach you advanced algebra in maths. You think to yourself, I'll never need to use it, but there's always one instance because you get weighted in this race depending on how much you were sold for at the auction. So trainers have got to be pretty smart in their head if they're saving one for this. I was a bit stumped when I first looked at it, even though it is like a big field, how Billboard start on like official rating and the mark that the horse runs off in here was as big as 7-2. We've had some shorter price horses that have won this one, although they've potentially been like a better class, I guess. But I started to look at Billboard star a bit. I don't know. I feel like there's something in the fact that, you know, he's been squished out a couple of times in races and like not necessarily like fully short of room, but it seems like when another horse comes to say, oh, I might want to go there, he's very much just like after you. And that worries me. I think it was when he did it behind Black Forza. Black Forza sort of surged through, just didn't necessarily like cut him up or do anything, but got near to him. And then the horse seemed to ease up a little bit. So that definitely worries me about a horse in a 20 runner field. But look, on figures, as posted, RPRs in the 97s, is officially rated over 100, but that's because of the fact that it was just behind Whistle Jacket, and we saw last week how you can't really trust Whistle Jacket, can you? But on sort of the weight adjusted ratings, Billboard Star has to have a proper chance. I'd love to see the fact that the horse could potentially get it done. Second favourite in their Uncle Don, which is again unfairly obvious. I'm looking towards the front couple in the market. He was a real eye catcher staying on last time out. It's got some all right-ish form. The first run behind Big Cyril, and Big Cyril is a big boy as well, was like a decent run, but the winner had flown. It was well clear of the rest of them. But obviously this is 6 furlongs, not 5 furlongs, which is what Uncle Don's done his sort of eye-catching stuff the last couple of runs at. I just think I'm going in a roundabout way of saying it is a 20 runner race, big field, and there's obviously interesting terms that go in there. But I really do think, for all that Billboard Star might be not necessarily a nervous horse, but might be gentlemanly and letting other horses go in front of them, this horse has potentially got so much in hand on this weight adjusted ratings that I'm hoping that he gets his day in the Star. So I will side with Billboard Star. I think 7-2 about him is probably about fair, with the reservations that big crowd in field might cause him problems. But if he gets a solo run and doesn't have to give way to other horses, I think he could have a bit in hand.
And hopefully he's not so shy and he's got a bit more of a bully way about him than this time for Billboard Star. 4 places on offer though, each way plus race with BetMGM. Andrew, you've waited long enough.
Yeah, cracking race. As I say, recently, and certainly in the last several years, a low draw has been a big advantage, generally speaking, on the straight course at Redcar. You've got the tyre tracks on the far side where the emergency vehicles are actually on the track until they sort of switch to the road on the inside, and You see David Allen for Tim Easterby sort of switching horses from high draws, getting it close to that far side rail. Certainly looked to be the case at the last meeting on the 25th of September. You look at the last race that day, big field handicap on the straight course, it looked like the high numbers were favoured, but they all went across, and it was a case of the winner of the second that weren't that far off the rail anyway. Francisco's Peach from stall 2 is interested based on his form on soft or heavy going, the son of Mason, although he did run in a nursery last time out, and horses who took the nursery route are 0 from 64 in the last 10 years. Which is a bit of a damning statistic, albeit most of them were big prices. The expected number of winners was only about 1.5. 6 of the last 10 winners did run in group companies. That certainly helps Billboard Star. So trained by Eve Johnson Horton, who won this race in the same colours with Chipotle. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. So interesting that Dave talked about the field size, but I guess if he gets out in front, then you might get it clear, as Solwyn did come when making all. So if he doesn't face pace pressure, stall 7's absolutely fine. He's probably going to run a big race. Glitterati was another interesting one of those drawn low, coming out of stall 4 in the first time cheap pieces for Archie Watson. Another one who's got form with sort of plenty of cut in the ground and is likely to be ridden forward. So I'll go for Billboard Star, but certainly wouldn't put your playing place only on Francisco's piece, or maybe Glitterati as well.
And a couple of each way plays then as well to go with that. But are you two in agreement about Billboard Star in the 2-year-old trophy? I did not expect that today. Right, we'll see if that agreement lasts then for our final scheduled race at Ascot with 3:35, the BetMGM Challenge Cup Heritage Handicap, 3-year-olds and over 7 furlongs. 5 places on offer with BetMGM with this each way plus race. Probably needed. 5 to on the field. Quirat and Fresh heading the way in this one, Andrew, but loads of characters we know plenty about, back over 7 furlongs.
Yeah, it's a cracking old race. As like you say, all the usual suspects here, including Fresh, a horse I really hate. It was always one you could put in your place part at Ascot, even if it was a 26 runner handicap at the Royal Meeting. You know he'd be in the first 4 and you'd be absolutely fine. I took him on with Takarib Bay last time. He's gone and bloody won, hasn't he, by a nose, beating my 7-1 shot into second. So it can never be ruled out. Certainly one for the place part. You generally don't want to bet him when he's near the head of the market. Acadian Thunder is one I am going to put up as the each way bet. He's got a really good record on straight tracks, and I put him up as a bet here last time out when he was second to Gray's Monument at 22-1. That was over this trip on soft ground. So you go through his turf, his turf and all-weather record on straight tracks. He's got form at Redcar, got form at Doncaster all over 7. He's won at Newcastle over 7. And although he bombed out at Newcastle on his penultimate start, he did have excuses. He raced too freely. And so, yeah, we know that David O'Mara tends to get plenty of winners in these sort of handicaps at back-end meetings at Ascot. Look out for his runners on Champions Day as well. So I'll go Acadian Thunder each way. But yeah, maybe sort of combining with Fresh for an exacta, and sort of don't leave Fresh out your play spots.
No, don't be doing that. But like I say, in terms of then a win play at the minute at about 6-1 BetMGM, then with Fresh, it might just be on the skinny side for that win play. But using in the exotics, Arcadian Thunder 12-1 with, as I say, 5 places on offer. Dave, you're going to try and utilize that yourself?
Yeah, I will. It's like a nice little concession because I'm pretty sure I got the winner. I'm disappointed that Andrew didn't say it as well, though. I was expecting that I wouldn't even need to read my notes out because Andrew would have said exactly the same. But
not carry the one. Not carry the one.
No, never again carry the one.
To be fair, he did leave that one a while back, to be fair.
Yeah, I left him and then he went and won. Thanks for that, Kate.
Yeah.
But it's a horse like Fresh that ran in the race last year, except mine was only beating a nose in the race last year because Popmaster has to have been set up for a crack at this again. I think it was a real good run in handicap company. They only run handicap company this season when he was a £5 lower mark. He's £5 lower mark now, but when he was under Brandon Wilkie, he was taking some weight off. That was over course and distance. He was only 2 1/4 lengths 7th to the Wizard of Eye, another one that Andrew loves. He's been in like Group 3s and Group 2s since, and I think he's like been running okay in those races, but obviously it's helped get the mark down, hasn't it? And as I touched on, was a nose second in this race last year off a £2 higher mark. I just think like Sappy Osborne rode him after that ride that Brandon Wilkie had. She has ridden him in the past. Admittedly, it didn't work out that well, but I feel like that was a little bit of, right, we've had a go in a handicap, we got close enough. Now let's just try and get his mark down for another crack at this. It's a big heritage handicap, isn't it? To finish a nose last year. And if you watch the replay, I still think he's going to get up every single time. I think they've got some sort of unfinished business. And I do think that when Sappy rode him on the John O'Gaunt, that was a little bit of, right, look, I know you can go at home and you can ride them there, but it was probably a bit of an experience for the horse and jockey to sort of rekindle their bond. I think he's just been absolutely lined up for this one. I don't think it needs much of a case to be made, really, does it? Like I say, no second last year of a £2 higher mark, 14-1, 5 places up for grabs. It is a hugely competitive handicap with loads of names in there to like fancy in there, but I think Popmaster will win this.
Popmaster 14-1. It could be a big day for Sappy Osborne then down at Ascot. This time for Ed Walker, though, of course. Popmaster back in this race again for Dave. Right. Anything from anywhere else? Dave, back to you.
I will, but I'll be very quick. I won't really sort of tip in them, but we've got jumps racing back. On Saturday at Gowran Park, there's a Grade 2, the PWC Champion Chase. Conflated St. Sam, St. Wara, 3 of many horses in that race. Over 2 miles 4, so that'll be a belter. Sunday in Tipperary, there's a couple of Grade 3s. First one that's a novice one isn't that great, but the second one has got Daddy Longlegs in there, which is the normal sort of open hurdle. He's flopped, though, this summer. Twice been beaten, Tipperary and at Galway, which makes him 0 from 5 going this way round, and he's 3 from 3 going right-handed. So don't get your fingers burnt on Daddy Longlegs on Sunday would be the advice.
Oh, okay, watch out then for Daddy Longlegs. Like you say, he has just been slightly disappointing, really, hasn't he? And to be kept on the go over the summer. So it's kind of, yeah, interesting though with him. Andrew, anything from anywhere else for you?
Yeah, a couple on the flat at Redcar on the Straight Mile Championship, the 4:30. Tim Easterby's Cruyff Turn. 4 runs in handicaps at Redcar, first, third, and a race the yards won several times before. And the 4:45 at Ascot, Dream Composer. If you've got access to the Racing Post website and the trainer comments, have a look at what the connections say about this one. Basically saying he likes going uphill and down dale. He's rubbish on dead flat tracks. He's been running the likes of Doncaster and Ayr, I think, and back at Ascot, I think he's going to run a big race, particularly if the ground dries out. That's Dream Composer.
Oh, nice. Of course, we don't have prices currently, though, but Dream Composer back over that same course and distance then, and Ascot over the 5 furlongs. Andrew, back to you for your nap.
Oh, I knew you were going to ask me that. I'll go Dream Composer, 4:45 Ascot.
Oh, that was handy. That was very handy. Dave, who's your nap?
Ooh, wouldn't be the most confident one, but that might stand me in good stead. I'm going to say that Relief Rally's going to get her head back in front.
Yeah, she does seem like she deserves to, doesn't she? So, I mean, every horse deserves to win. But so, yeah, Relief Rally, though, would be good to see that. Right, that's everything from us on this week's show. So, big thank you to Dave and to Andrew for all of their hard work, as per usual. Thank you to our sponsors, BetMGM, and what is a big weekend for them. A bigger thank you to you at home for watching. Best of luck with your bets this weekend, and we'll speak to you again next week.